Hey gang, are you in a band in Austin? You're looking to make the leap from the band of schmoes to the band of pros? Well, you can start by rehearsing at Space. Space is a state-of-the-art affordable venue for rehearsal and recording located just a few short miles south of downtown Austin. 31 spacious rooms, great PAs, and a very helpful and courteous staff. That's Space Rehearsal and Recording. Find them at 512-448-9518 or go to spaceatx.com and take the talent train from Schmoesville to Protown with Space Rehearsal and Recording. Let's get down. Hey gang, do you find yourself listening to your music on one app and then listening to your podcast on another app? If you do, stop this insane behavior right now and download Spotify. Spotify is home to all of your favorite music and all of your favorite podcasts. Podcasts including Fly on the Wall, the Saturday Night Live podcast with Dana Carvey and David Spade, the Rock on Tours podcast with Gary Kemp and Guy Pratt, old favorites like Fresh Air, My Favorite Murder, Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Look, if you're looking for a news podcast or sports or entertainment or true crime, look, if you're looking for a sewing podcast or an RV podcast, Spotify has all of this for you. That's Spotify. All of your favorite music and all of your favorite podcasts in one place. Find it in your app store and start listening today. That's Spotify, music and podcasts. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here are your hosts,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys all had a good week so far, whatever it is you did this week. I've had a good week. Boy, I told you guys on Tuesday's show that I was hosting the Ham and Austin Music Foundation collaboration show for Ham Day on Tuesday. Ham Day was crazy, man. It was crazy. There was so much music. You forget how much music is out there, like being played that day from 7 in the morning until 2 in the morning. Everywhere. Apparently, they had music from like 7 in the morning until like midnight at the Waterloo Amphitheater at the new Waterloo Park over there. They had, it turns out Iron Maiden was playing. They weren't doing it for Ham Day, but they were playing at the Moody Center. I really wish I would have been able to go see that because, I don't think will I get to see them? You think they'll be back again? I don't know. Anyway, back to the Ham Day celebration. It was great. I hosted that Austin Music Foundation ham show at the Mohawk. It was great. Jane Leo played. Kid Jones played, Anastasia Hera and the Heroes played, and El Combo Oscuro. All of those people have been in our artist development program over the last 6 years. El Combo Oscuro is in the current program. You can find out more about it by going to the austinmusicfoundation.org. And also, hey, if you live in Austin or you just moved to Austin or something, you're involved in the music business or you're involved in the music scene or you're trying to get into the music scene here and you're having a difficult time, go to austinmusicfoundation.org. They offer free consultations. And it's great. Just go to awesomemusicfoundation.org, get involved. If you still want to donate to Ham, you still can. You don't just have to do it on Ham Day. You can do it on any day. myham.org. Go there. All right, there's all the organizations going on. I am, gang, I'm going to Houston this weekend. My cousin Megan is coming in from New York with her son Max. I'm going to hang out. Got no gigs for a couple weeks. So I'm kind of freestyling, going to visit the family this weekend. I haven't seen my grandma in a few weeks. It's just crazy because I was there. I mean, if you listen to the show, you know I was there from like April until July, basically, and basically, you know, been going back a little less every now and then. I haven't been there in like 3 weeks, I think. It's been a bit, but I'm looking forward to seeing my grandma, my aunts, my cousin Megan, who I haven't seen in a few months, my cousin Max, who's so lovely and beautiful, little 2-year-old boy. He's so awesome, man. He talks and does all kinds of... I've got all kinds of kid stuff going on, gang. Next week, I'm going to Miami because my brother had a child a couple weeks ago. I've got a brand new nephew. Jack Kelly lives in Miami. I know. I'm going to Miami. Those of you that keep score, that listen to the show, Miami is like my dad's side of the family is in a constant state of war. These guys are at war all the time. Now kids aren't talking to my dad. And, my dad's insane. We might have heard a couple weeks ago, I told you he's started getting involved in all my life business just because I asked him a question. And all of a sudden he's like, I told this guy in Dallas, I put him on your podcast. I'm like, are you fucking crazy, dude? So anyway, there's all this insanity happening there. And the funniest thing about it, I haven't been there in 4 years. Okay? I haven't been to visit my family there in 4 years. Haven't seen my brothers and sisters in 4 years. Haven't seen my little nephew, AJ, in almost 4 years. He's a little over 4 now. I went twice when he was a baby. So I'm going to go see him, go see those brothers and sisters, my stepmom. But I have to visit everyone almost individually. Like everyone can't go gather at one place anymore because too many people hate too many other people in the family. But the main thing is that then, when I get there, there's a few people in my family that kind of like the only thing they really say to me the whole time I'm there is like, well, how long has it been here? It's been 4 years? God, it's been 4 years since you've been here. Have you been here in 4 years? Oh my God, when was the last time you were here? 4 years? Oh God. You haven't been here in 4 years, just constantly. And then they're like, God, why didn't you come more often? You're like, man, if you came to where you guys lived from somewhere else, it would blow your fucking mind. And you'd haul ass back. I'm staying for like 4 days, and it's almost like 4 days too much. I'm getting in. It is. I'm going for 4 days, and it's almost 4 days too much. I love those people. I do. I love my family, but they are insane, and it's difficult to be around everyone at once. And it's everyone doesn't like everyone. And so there's a constant, like every time you're with someone, they're talking about the last person you were with and like, hey, you can come over tomorrow, but don't bring that, what's his name? You're like, God damn it, man. What am I supposed to do here? Whew. Oh, thanks for listening, because that was completely insane. Listen, it's true. My family's insane. Florida's insane. Miami's insane. But I'm doing it. I'm jumping in. I'm going to see family this weekend. That's a mellow family. Everybody loves each other. We'll go to Miami and deal with the warring factions. You'll hear all about it when I come back in a couple weeks. All right? So exciting. Gang, I have a great show for you today. Violet Lee from Madam Radar, when she was on the show, when they were on the show like a month ago or whatever, she was like, hey, I've got this friend and he has this record out and you should interview him, man. He's an interesting cat. His name's Anthony Garcia. So I said, sure, man, introduce us by email and I'll have him on the show. So she did. She introduced us, and I want to thank Violet for setting this up. I'll give her co-producer credit on this show, executive producer, booking person credit. What am I doing? Anyway, she set me up with this great singer-songwriter named Anthony Garcia, originally from Lubbock. And this is also like something I've been talking about to people that are from West Texas and places like that. Their music feels and sounds like a giant Western expanse. You know what I mean? I talked to Jeremy Nail about that, who's from that same area. This guy, Anthony Garcia, very, very Western music. Great. He's got a fantastic record out called Acres of Diamonds. Came out in 2020. He's got a single out called Devil in My Heart. I think we're going to play that on here. I don't know exactly, but I think we're going to play that song on here. Anyway, he's a classically trained pianist, learned Spanish guitar, and has really worked his ass off like in music and trying to sort of like get to a place where he can express this really amazing, like he's an amazing guitar player, and he does all this stuff on acoustic guitar that's just fucking awesome, man. He's a shredder, and he's a great songwriter, and this record's great. You can see them playing live, him and his band, Anthony Garcia, playing live Saturday, November 5th at the Ridgely Theater Lounge in Fort Worth, Texas. Go to Anthony Garcia Music for all of your Anthony Garcia needs. I really had a great time talking to this dude. I want to thank Violet Lee once again for setting this up. Really fantastic getting to talk to this. He sent me an email the other day saying that he was on his way back from Europe. I think he might have been playing there. Maybe he was playing in Europe. I don't know. Go to AnthonyGarciaMusic.com. Get involved with that. You can follow him on the socials. Great dude. Great conversation. Fantastic artist. If you don't know about him, listen to him, man. He's got a great story. He's a fascinating dude. And that's what this show's about. You don't only get to know artists you love better, but I get to introduce you to artists in a very intimate way. So this one's in person. This is me and Anthony Garcia talking about life, talking about music, talking about how he does it. Let's get down. Sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, God, Steve's driving all the way from like wherever you're driving from, Holland, outside of Temple. and then he's gonna get here and it's like some dude's apartment. And you're like, oh shit! I thought it was like some kind of thing.
No way, man. Don't feel bad. Like I said, I drive everywhere. I even got new vehicles because I'm a badass now. I got a Prius, man.
Oh yeah, oh that's killer, dude.
No, I had an Equinox for a while, and it's a long story, but I was driving it because I didn't really choose it. I just kind of had to buy it for certain reasons. So I traded that in, got a Prius, and got a Econoline van that I'm turning into a camper van right now. So it's really awesome. But that one's like 15 miles a gallon, and the Prius is like 40 miles a gallon. I never would have envisioned myself driving a Prius at any point in my life, but I love it.
You seem too tall for a Prius. Like seeing you get out of a Prius seems like it would be kind of funny. Like someone would be like, "Whoa, look at that dude getting out of a Prius."
It is, and it's funny because my wife is like 5'4", and we got her a Silverado that's like a 4x4. It's like huge.
Jeez.
So the little girl gets out of this
You guys gotta
big
trade
truck,
cars,
and I'm like,
man.
get out of the Prius. It's pretty funny.
So dude, do you know who Jeremy Nail is?
I know that
Songwriter
name. And
guy.
I've listened to him.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know I've listened to him. The answer is yes, and
Okay.
I know I've listened to him here and there because I was curious about him, and I really liked his stuff. I do remember listening to him.
He's from Albany, Texas, which is out there in the West Texas area. And there's a you guys don't sound alike, but there's a sound to each of your music. I believe in your it's referred to as cinematic, like in your bio, which I get that too. But to me, it's because it sounds, you can hear the expanse of the space that you're coming from.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like
Yes.
that, when you're in Lubbock and you look around, like you see for fucking miles.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the beauty of out there. I mean, so I grew up there, from 5 years old through college and all that. And it wasn't until I left and lived other places and came back to visit that I could truly appreciate the beauty that's out there. Because when you're there, you just want to leave. When you're there, you want to get out of there. It sucks.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, it's ugly. It's the ugliest place you can ever imagine.
Yeah.
And when you go back, you're like, I can breathe. I can smell the rain. I can see the sunset. And it's just a certain energy that's out there. And it's beautiful. And I love it. And I think that contributes to a lot of, I think that gives the musicians that come from Lubbock, like you said, their original sound, their sound of, I don't know what it is. It's a certain kind of sound,
Of the people that come there, Joe Ely really has that too. Like
Joe
you
Ely.
and Joe Ely have some cross, like the Spanish guitar stuff that happens in like there's a lot of that in the Joe Ely jams. That's what I was wondering. I got to tell you, man, you are a monster guitar player.
Oh, thank you.
I watched that video and you're doing it on acoustic guitar. I'm like, what is he using? Like nines on his acoustic? Like what the fuck is
I
going on?
have tens on
here?
there, but I do.
Oh, you do use tens?
Yeah, and I have that Takamine. I use a Takamine, so it feels like an electric. And I use some pedals that make it sound like an electric guitar. But thank you for saying that. That's very nice of you. And,
Well, also like that's you just playing guitar on the record, right?
Yes.
And you're also playing piano?
Yes.
Killer fucking piano player, dude.
Thank you very much.
That's your thing. You're classically trained.
Yes, I went to school. I went to college. When it was time to come to college, I was like, well, I want to study music, and so I ended up studying for 4 years. And I was an education major.
So you were gonna teach. That was the
I did teach for about a year, until I realized how much I hated it. But as part of that,
you go spend 4 years and then you go in the field for 1 year and you're like, no way.
Well, so my deal was when I went to college is that I wanted to study music, not realizing that once you got to university,
right,
that you can only choose band, orchestra, or choir, and I don't play any band or orchestra.
Was that at Texas Tech?
Yeah, it was at Texas Tech. And I don't play any band or orchestral instruments. So I was like, well, I guess I'll do choir. And I sang in choir in high school and stuff like that. And I played piano. So I kind of just gave up guitar for 4 years and devoted myself to the piano. So that's kind of how that happened. Incidentally, you also can choose a performance track, a composition track, or a education track. You have to choose one of those to study, to complete your degree. And I knew I wasn't going to be a performance major because those are the guys that go play with orchestras and go tour, playing classical repertoire. I wasn't. You have to be an Olympic athlete for that, basically. And
well, also, like you don't have a choice in what you play. Like you're just playing the shit
Right.
someone's that's 200 years old, or not that it's bad,
Right.
but it's like you just kind of like
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I admire that. I love
Yeah.
that world.
Sure.
I love that world of classical music. I just knew that I'm nothing compared to people that devote their lives to that. I mean, those are people that are just machines.
Right.
And as far as the composition track goes, you would basically, I mean, I didn't really see much of a future as being, I mean, writing being a composition major didn't seem like very appealing to me as far as a future goes. So I was like, well, you know what? I might as well choose education because at least I can get, I'll be able to get a job and support myself once I get out of school. And, and I did. And I, went on to teach. I'm glad I did that. I learned a lot. And I learned, speaking of going back to the piano, I'm happy that I did that because the teacher that I had, thank God for her, because she took my technique. She was a piano pedagogy instructor. So her
I don't
thing
even know
was
what that means.
Her thing was basically teaching you how to use your physical body to produce a sound on an instrument. And so so essentially when I came to college, I was playing in such a way that in a couple of years, I probably would have developed carpal tunnel and I would have injured myself.
Oh,
and so she basically took my technique and completely changed it.
Right.
And she showed me how to use the weight of my body to play the instrument as opposed to this, having tension in my hands and trying to strong arm the instrument. And that's a short description of something that took 4 years for me to kind of start to begin to understand. I'm still trying to understand it. And so she came from a holistic point of view about teaching me how to teach the piano, as opposed to playing, being a great performer. It was more about teaching how to teach, and
that's cool.
And so I'm glad she did that because it changed the way I played. And
probably got rid of some bad habits.
It got rid of all my bad habits.
Yeah.
My first semester I wasn't even playing repertoire. She just had me putting all my weight on the piano, and then she would check to make sure my shoulders were relaxed.
Yeah.
And then I would jump to another part of the keyboard. I mean, I did that for like a semester, and she was like, "That's what you do. You don't do anything else." And I was like, "What is this?" It was like what I'm sure there's a movie that's like, it was like kind of like Karate Kid,
Right. Yeah. I came to learn karate. I'm not here to wax your car, dude. Yeah, exactly. Or paint your fence.
It was very wax on, wax off, but she was a very positive teacher, and so thankful to her, very thankful to her for that.
Okay, so wait, let's get back to this record. Let me get my notes in the right place.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for the actual CD.
Yeah, you're
Did you do that artwork?
It's a collector's item, not because it's my album, but because it's a CD, man.
Right.
They're going into extinction.
I was listening to one when you came in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I have a whole
right?
situation. Well, I was also listening to like NS10, so I'm like a 1990 person or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the artwork.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Acres of Diamonds. This is your first record. This is the only record that's available on places. Did you do other ones that you're not talking about?
Yeah, I've done other ones. Yeah, I've done other ones under different project names. And then I have a little playlist on my artist profile on Spotify that has like compilations of like the songs from other projects. But I'm kind of trying to just whittle myself down to just putting music out under my name now. What made you come to that decision? Like what? Because it's hard to wrangle cats and. Well, let's just see. How can I say this? I've been in previous groups, and I was in romantic relationships with in 3 of them.
Oh,
and then,
within the group, like Fleetwood Mac style.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, there were different incarnations and different 3 different relationships, and I just realized, you can't date the person that you're. I mean, for me personally, I'm not saying you shouldn't, anyone else shouldn't, but it just didn't. It worked out for me in such a way that when you break up, or with someone that you're romantically involved with and musically involved with, it's just doubly hard.
Yeah,
and
Jesus.
so. And that happened to me 3 times, and
Whoa!
It happened 3 times. It didn't happen to me but so I was just like, I need to I want to focus on just on having my kind of my.
That's interesting because you have 2 women in your band.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they're great friends, and Megan, my violin player, Megan is she's married and she has her own family, and so it's wonderful to be playing with a person who. Like I said, you're not romantically involved with, but is also just a solid person and very, great musician. All my band members are just solid, people who have their lives together. They're just good friends.
It's funny. I've been like a music dude since I was a little kid. I've made out with like 2 musician women. I just don't like, I have that weird kind of like, I don't know how many of us we can have in this house. Like we need a different kind of person in here.
Yeah.
So, all right. So where did you make this record?
So this was recorded at, you know where Mosaic Sound Collective
Of course
is?
I do.
Okay, so it was at Mosaic Sound Collective.
What an asshole.
And,
I didn't mean it like, of course I do.
of course. Look who you're talking to.
Dan Redmond's in my phone.
So there's a nonprofit group called transientmike.org, and Jeremy Fowler and David Garcia, no relation to me, but they are devoted to recording. You know, they're a mobile recording studio, and they document. You know, they're devoted to documenting local music and Austin musicians, and so it just so happened that when we met, they had just gotten their nonprofit status, and Jeremy Fowler, who happens to be my bass player as well, this was his first album to produce. So it was sort of their goal is to take artists, produce their albums at no cost to the artist, and and they get grants and try to, they're hustlers trying to get grants and really just get back to the community in that way. So
Jesus, that must be exhausting. Yeah, those poor guys.
They're hard. They work hard, and they do it because they love the music, and they love the local community. But they've been doing great. They just got a grant from Sweetwater, a pretty sizable grant. And
really?
They're converting an old school bus now, and they're building
to make an actual mobile
studio. They're getting proper equipment. I mean, they're really doing well for themselves now. So
how cool!
But this was in 2020 and 2019 when I was recording the album. So it was sort of like they had just started kind of fixing up their place at Mosaic.
Right.
They have a little studio there, and so recorded drums with Charles Godfrey, he's an engineer. He's engineered several albums out in El Paso. He's from El Paso. I can't remember the big studio that's out there, but
in Tornillo, you mean?
I don't know where it would be.
Sonic Ranch.
Yes, that's
it.
Baby. Sonic Ranch. So Charles is also.
You ever been out there?
No, I haven't.
That's a magical place.
Yeah, he was telling me about it. So Charles played drums on it. He also has a space at Mosaic. So it was recorded at Mosaic Sound Collective, and recorded piano at my friend. Do you know Peggy Hanna? She does Peggy's porch parties.
I know Peggy's porch parties.
Yeah, so she has a grand piano, and so she let me record piano in her living room.
That's killer.
So we took the studio over there and recorded piano there.
Do you play those gigs?
Have I played at hers?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I did one back in May of 2019.
Would you introduce it? I'd love to play one of those. I just always feel like sometimes those people are like, no, that guy's like too rock and roll for my shit.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. She would love to have you there. I know she would.
I won't take that, SG.
Huh?
I'll take one of the acoustic guitars. I'm not going to go there and assault these people with feedback all night.
Yeah.
All right, so you did it there. That's there was something I was going to... Oh, I want to go back. Did they also do that video of that new song, the Devil in My Heart?
Yes, they did. And David Garcia... So Jeremy was playing bass in that video, and then David was filming it.
Okay.
When they produced it, they mixed it and did it all together. And that is actually on the... that's in my house that we just bought.
Oh, that is?
Yeah.
Nice.
My wife and I bought an old house up in Holland, like I was telling you earlier, about an hour north of Austin. And long story short, we found an inexpensive, very amazing old home, historic home, that was affordable to us, but that we're fixing up now. So, and we're living in a real small town. It's like 1,500 people, so it's pretty awesome. That's why I don't mind like living way out there and having to drive, because I'm just like, I get this giant house. It's like a dream,
That's awesome, man.
So we recorded the video in that house, on the second floor of our house.
Such an interesting configuration of instruments. Like the instrumentation of your band is really unique. Like there's not a lot of bands that are drums, bass, acoustic guitar. Do you always play acoustic guitar?
Yeah, I do. I also have a Telecaster that I play sometimes, and but live for the past several years I've been playing acoustic guitar through an electric pedals.
Are you a fan of Spoon? the band?
Yeah, I mean, I know them. I mean, I haven't really.
When everyone was first getting started here in Austin, that was his trip. Like he played through like an old Fender amp, his acoustic guitar.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I like that so
Sounds
much.
cool.
I think it's just so much of like playing gigs. I play a lot of solo gigs, so
Okay.
I'll use a loop pedal and track like an acoustic, record an
Right,
acoustic
right,
track and then play
right.
electric over it or play piano over it. So I guess from that, I just was like, when I get to a full band setting, I'm just like, well, I don't want to have to hassle with it, bringing an amp and bringing out, all that stuff. So I would love to go back to playing electric though. I love playing electric guitar.
When you're playing acoustic shows, are you talking about like those like a 3-hour, like 6 to 9 thing
like
at a place?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you like doing that?
They're fine.
They pay.
They pay the bills, and
You don't have to take a band.
Yeah, and you don't have to take a band. And that's all I'm doing. I mean, I'm only playing music, so I kind of try to find a good mix between trying to find the balance between full band gigs and solo gigs.
So where are you playing? If you're living up there, are you coming down here and play? Like, where are you doing this stuff?
Yeah, I come down here to play. I play a lot in the Hill Country.
Like at wineries and stuff.
Yeah, that, and then different places like, different. We play over at Hudson's in Dripping Springs.
Oh yeah.
Here and there. That's a nice listening room. I do like private events and house concerts and that kind of thing. So just try to find my way. And then I have places.
Do you book yourself?
Yes. Yeah. And I have friends that I stay with. And so converting a van so I can, sleep in it so I don't have to drive so far every day.
Right.
Kind of deal.
Hang on just one second.
Oh, sure.
Okay? All right. I muted it so that the audience didn't have to deal with it. But that ends it. That thing's amazing, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So how many gigs a week do you play? Like 4?
It's like 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How's your voice holds up good? Because your voice is really good, man.
Oh, thank
and your
you.
voice
Thank
actually
you.
sounds like a smaller person's voice. Has anyone ever said that to you?
No.
Is that weird to say?
No one's ever said that.
Because when I saw the video of you, I was like, shit, man, that guy's tall. Way taller than like in my mind, I imagined a smaller dude.
I guess I've had people, whenever I meet people, they're like, I didn't realize how tall you were.
You know what people say to me? You know what they say?
No.
Jesus, I thought you were a lot taller. Because when they see you on stage forever, you're. And they see you at the grocery store and they're like, Jesus, dude, really? That's you?
I don't believe that.
It's a little shrimpy guy. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to like you were born in Lubbock?
I was born in Irving,
Okay.
Dallas area,
All right.
but I grew up
In Lubbock.
Grew up in Lubbock, yeah.
Your parents, what was their situation? Were they together?
They were together. My dad, until my dad passed away a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, but they were.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. They were. They met in the '60s. They have a great story. They met in Dallas in the '60s, and that was their home. And
When you say the 60s, were they like 60
oh
kids,
yeah,
60s
man.
out long
So-
hair? And like,
yeah, I mean, it's so cool to see pictures of them from like, the 64, 65. My mom had the beehive
Oh,
there,
yeah,
and then, they have this great story. They were both, when JFK was shot, they hadn't met yet, but they were both there. They were
no
both
shit,
on the
they were at
street.
Dealey Plaza?
Right. They were on the street. They saw, so my mom's story was that she had taken, here's the trippy story. So she was still in high school and I think she was 16 and my aunt was older than her. She was like 17. And her husband had just died. He was crushed by a house because they were fixing the foundation of the house and the house fell on him and killed him.
Jesus.
Well, they had just gotten engaged. So they were downtown Dallas taking back the engagement ring. And that's when they saw, and they had taken off school because JFK was in town.
Right.
So they saw him, they saw the what is it called?
Motorcade.
The motorcade
Yeah,
drive by,
yeah.
and they waved at him and saw him. And then minutes later, they were shocked when they found out he was shot.
Yeah.
My dad, at the same time, like I said, they hadn't met yet. He was driving. He was working for some fabric company or for some carpet company or something, and he was having to make a delivery downtown. And I guess he didn't really dawn on him. I mean, it did. He knew Kennedy was there. He's like, oh yeah, I guess there's all this traffic because. So he saw the motorcade drive by, anyways, I just always remember that story. They were kind of, I love hearing their stories from that time in Dallas because Dallas is such a cool.
Yeah.
It has its own vibe.
Yeah, it did.
And,
it did.
And so I love that period of history too.
Yeah. There was a lot more weird underground stuff happening there than you'd think there would have been in that time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So was it 63?
Yeah.
That happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
63.
I think it was November 63.
Yeah,
Was when
because the Beatles came in February.
That's
64.
right.
And, and that was the emotional Band-Aid American.
Yeah, exactly.
After that sadness,
they were the ones that brought the happiness,
brought the smiles back. Yeah.
Brought the happiness back to the American citizens.
Okay, so do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have adopted. I don't have any biological siblings, but they're adopted.
Oh, that's cool.
Brother and sister. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys moved to Lubbock. Did your dad get a job there? Or something?
He was he was a salesman working for General Motors. They transferred him out there, and he was a salesman. So he basically moved out to Lubbock in 1979. We all did, and that was his territory, and he kind of started all the stores that were out there carrying AC Delco parts, and he
cool.
So he did a lot out there. He was very successful at what he did, and he was a.
He drove around to places all day?
He drove everywhere, man. He drove everywhere and convinced these good old boys out there that they needed AC Delco parts, and he made relationships that lasted until the end of his career.
Sure.
And, he was just one of those guys that could do. He could sell you. He could sell you anything.
He could sell me a keyboard.
He could sell you. He could sell you a keyboard. Hey, man, you don't have enough. I know a guy. Anyways, so that was his career, and that's how I ended up. That's how I ended up in Lubbock at the age of 4. Okay. So I grew up from the kindergarten and stayed out there till with some stints living in other places, but went all from kindergarten up through college in West Texas, and I'm very thankful for that because, as you know, and as we were talking about, the music from West Texas and just the feel out there is just so
art,
special.
Just the art, like if for some reason it really does. From Buddy Holly on down, it's just badasses coming out of that town.
Yeah, I'm very proud, and there's still some great musicians out there. I mean, there's some wonderfully talented musicians in Lubbock still that are playing every night of the week out there.
Do you remember Stubbs there?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, man. I used to go to Stubbs all the time when I was in college. And at the end of high school and college, the Sunday night open mic. Jam.
Really? That's what they used to do?
Yeah.
I was never there on Sunday, but I did play there quite a few times, and you'd stay in the apartment that they had upstairs.
Okay, yeah.
And I have this funny story. Like 1994, my band, Mr. Rocket Baby, was on the road, and we had called them the night before from somewhere and said, like, hey, is it cool if we come in early so we can take a nap in your place? And everyone had been partying and all this shit. So we go there early I can't even remember where we were coming from, but we pulled in and we went up to the apartment. We opened it, and there was all these dudes there, and they all fucking started screaming at us in Scottish accents. They were mad. And then we went down and told them, we went down and said, hey man, we called, and they said and they're like, those guys didn't leave yet? And we're like, I guess not. And they said, fuck, we told them to leave a couple hours ago. Yeah. So the girl goes up and tells the dudes they gotta go. So they come filing down the stairs. 2 of them look exactly alike, which is really creepy. And they're screaming, it's like, fucking cunts, great, fuck you, like in these deep Scottish accents. It was the fucking Proclaimers, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was the Proclaimers.
Wow, what year was that?
It was whenever that record came out.
Oh, okay.
And the record had come out, and it was kind of going up the charts, and they were just doing that tour. So they go to this, like, whatever would be a C market, or it's Lubbock a C or B market or whatever, and go down there and play Stubbs on a night when they can do whatever. Yeah. So
that's
it was so weird.
I remember seeing Corey Glover from Living Color there.
Oh, that's
he came.
Cool.
Yeah, he was doing his solo stuff. Speaking of seeing someone like
sure,
that's huge.
Yeah,
he came to Stubbs and he did a little show, and it was like 94 or maybe it was 95 or something like that. And it was like I was really, it was really cool to see someone of that caliber. In such a small place, and there weren't a lot of people there. I mean, there were maybe like 50 people or something like that. It was really cool. So I know it's it's cool to see those artists do that. That level.
Well, it wasn't cool to see those guys, but
yeah, I'm sure they weren't happy to see you. But
no, they were definitely not happy to see us. So when you went there, you said you used to go to shows there. When did you first start getting into music and having your own taste? Do you remember the first record you bought with your own money?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first cassette I ever got was the Romantics in Heat. And
baby.
I was like 8.
Is that the one after? Is that the one with Talking in Your Sleep?
It's the one with Talking in Your Sleep. Okay. That was the first cassette I ever owned. But the first record that changed my life was Thriller. It was Michael Jackson. It was 1984. I was like 10 years old, and so that's kind of what seeing Michael Jackson on the Grammys was a huge. It was like seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
You mean on the Motown 25?
Well, whichever one you did the moonwalk on.
Yeah, that was the Motown. That was the Motown.
Oh, was it?
special.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Sorry, I'm a
no.
total nerd.
I want you to correct me. So that was huge, and then of course, when 1984 came out. I mean, I'm a 80s child.
Van Halen?
So, I'm an 80s child, so
Yeah.
all the things happened during that time. And
I'm an 80s child. 1984 Van Halen.
Yeah, and when that came out, that was like blew my mind. And then of course, those were two big milestones, and another big one was hearing Wasted Years, Iron Maiden. Also, that really turned my mind onto electric guitar playing. So that was a time. Those three things were kind of made me want to play music. Made me kind of realize, this is something that I want to do and I want to look into.
Yeah.
When I was pretty young.
Did you ask for a guitar?
No. Incidentally, my cousin had one, and he kind of studied for a little while, and then he kind of got tired of it, and his mom told my mom that he had a guitar that he wasn't using, and so they sold it to my mom for like $50, and then I got to it, man. Smoke on the Water.
Acoustic or electric?
It was electric. It was an imitation Flying V.
Oh, nice.
It was called a Hondo Flying V.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Anyways,
I had a Hondo.
Oh, yeah?
Hondo too. Yeah, yeah.
So I proceeded to learn every single, big hair 80s metal guitar solo I could get my hands on from
Wow.
guitar tabs, and that's kind of how I learned, was just listening and that guitar, so trying to learn as much as I could.
Yeah.
As a kid, and just listening to tapes, listening to like we were talking about before, Randy Rhoads. He was a huge, of course, Van Halen was a huge influence. I think he pretty much influenced everyone. And then, Randy Rhoads, when I discovered him, it was like kind of another flavor of what Eddie Van Halen was doing.
To me, Randy Rhoads is there's no, I don't think that I could ever achieve whatever it is that he does. Cause that guy, I have tremendous respect for Eddie too. Like his rhythm too is like something people don't really talk about, but that guy has a fucking deep ass groove.
Mm-hmm. They're two different animals,
Two different animals.
But the thing I loved about Randy Rhoads, and then of course incidentally getting bitten by the classical music bug around that same time.
Right.
One thing that resonated about Randy Rhoads for me was he was a classical guitarist. That's what he loved. And he just happened to be this awesome electric guitar player too, and this kind of metal head. Yeah. But, when he was on tour, as you probably know, with Ozzy, every town he would look up a guitar teacher, a classical guitar teacher, and he'd take a lesson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He'd go out.
I think that's in that Sarzo book.
Yeah. He'd go out and take a lesson. And I was just like, that's just devotion. He didn't drink, he didn't do anything like that. He's just devoted to creating the perfect part and being a great guitarist.
I was watching a couple of videos on MTV, and not on MTV, on YouTube, over the last couple of days, ever since he was going to come on. And so I was watching, there was an interview with Randy Rhoads where he won Guitar Player Magazine Guitarist of the Year, and all he says is that I'm just trying to get better. Like there's no acceptance. Exactly. He's like so humble, it's like weird, because you're like, dude, you're Randy Rhoads, man.
Exactly. That's also what I love about him. I love people that are super talented, that are they just want to get better. They just want to be the best that they possibly can, and that's a point as a human being to get to. It takes time to get there.
I'm a huge fan of his, man. That tribute album, that's the thing.
That's
is
the one
like
that turned my head.
Like you can listen to those records that they made in the studio, and like whatever shit he's doing, even like something like Crazy Train, in between the rhythm stuff, and he throws in these leads that are just like impossible to play. And then you listen to the live shit, and he's doing it. Yeah. Like he's switching in between the fucking parts.
He's doing it better. And and his tone is better. I think his playing on the tribute album, which is the live recording of the studio stuff, I think it's better. Because I'll go back and listen to Diary of a Madman or like Blizzard of Oz. Yeah. And I'm just like, it lacks some, that playing on there is great. And the parts are great. But it lacks something to me. And when I go back and listen to the tribute, I'm just like, wow, this is fantastic.
Well, the classical pieces that he plays, that they put at the end of it or whatever.
The D,
unbelievable.
The one to his mom, the tribute to his mom. Yeah, that's a great. But yeah, so those guitar players, and then of course, very early on, I guess I kind of discovered that I could play the piano when I was really, really young. I had some neighbors that were taking piano lessons, and I'd go over there and learn their parts and what they were learning in piano lessons, and then their mom told my mom that I could play the piano, and then my mom put me in piano lessons, and which I got really bored with very fast. But that meant that they had bought me a little keyboard, and I kind of learned that way, just at home, learning, picking up, picking up songs. And so kind of just the first little phase of my life was just figuring it out, hearing something and just figuring it out on my own.
Yeah.
And realizing that I loved music from that, early age. And also not at the same time growing up in Lubbock, not even realizing that Buddy Holly was from there, but like loving his music and loving Elvis and loving all the 50s stuff and just loving that. At the time, not knowing what it was, but that Carl Perkins, that that Fender, that sound, that 50s guitar sound, that 50s Fender
Rockabilly.
sound, all that stuff. So I loved that as a kid too. So I kind of grew, gained an appreciation in that way from the music, also, back then, that music. And what's really funny too is that my dad was not, I don't have any musicians in my family. I don't have any. I'm the only one. My dad certainly wasn't a musician, but he was a really big influence on me musically because of the music that he listened to. Growing up, the Big Chill soundtrack was on repeat rotation in his car. So that was my first exposure to like Aretha Franklin or Marvin Gaye and Smokey Robinson and all these great, all the Motown stuff. And then getting into, I eventually got into classical music, and the way that happened was he, as a joke, gave me, like I said, I was into metal and I was into all this other guitar playing. As a joke, he gave me a cassette. It was the best of Bach as a joke for Christmas, and he's like, "Here you go." And with a Walkman, with a Sony Walkman. The Walkman was the present,
but that was the joke.
You gotta have something to listen to. So here's the best of Bach. Aha! And I was like, "That's funny, Dad. Thanks." So I went to my room on Christmas morning and I put that in, and I was like, it was like God had spoken to me. It was like, what I mean, like listening to something. Listening to Bach is like listening to you're hearing the voice of God, I think, and it just that's what started me on. I was like, man, there's a whole other thing going on that I had no idea, that preceded us these hundreds of years ago, and
what it was that Randy was learning.
Exactly. And that also. So that's kind of what got me really into classical music, and then of course, what really tied it together was when I saw the movie Amadeus, and I realized I was like, Mozart was like a rock star.
Oh, totally.
He was a rock star, and I was 17 at the time, so that really resonated with me because I was like, he was a rock star. He just existed before electricity and like 250 years ago, but he was doing what we're doing. Like he's partying and like, giving the middle finger to the establishment. He was doing all these, he was just trying to survive and then he would sit down and blow everyone's mind, So I really, all those things I think formulated, were responsible for formulating my idea of what I wanted to do with music, around 17, around that age,
Yeah. And so, man, that's a lot to bite off because like, I remember when I was like 17, a lot of what I was gravitating towards like musically outside of like the new wave and new romantic stuff that was happening was the rockabilly was a little bit more accessible, or like Tom Petty, like he was playing chords you could play, and you could play it with a band. You didn't need like a synthesizer and a drum machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you have a band of dudes in a garage, you can't really play Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Exactly.
Or it's going to sound like what's his name? Marilyn Manson or something doing it. So when did this sort of like Western and Spanish music kind of become the direction that, like, in those bands that you were talking? Well, okay, wait a minute. Before we get to that, what made you move to Austin? Music?
No, it wasn't actually. I was in a relationship. Well, I didn't say this, but I was in a relationship, and and she wanted to. We had been living in South Korea. We met in South Korea. I was an English teacher over there.
Oh, awesome!
And so she and I moved back.
What made you go to? Hold on. What made you go to South Korea, real quick?
Well, I just wanted to. I wanted to change. I had lived in Europe before. I was an exchange student in Europe, in Germany, when I was in college, and I had such a great experience in the '90s doing that. I learned German as a result, and I was a German minor, and I had a minor in German language. I was in the coal mines of Germany, so I got to travel a lot around Europe during that year, And
How cool,
I just wanted to
man.
have like that experience because I'd never been to Asia.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I at the time, who introduced me to you, Violet, she was my ex girlfriend. She and I moved to South Korea together, and we moved there, and I was just like, look, I want to go to Asia because I've never been there before.
Right.
So we ended up living there for 4 years and moved back. And this other girlfriend that I was with, we were living in Lubbock.
Man, you're a player.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm trying to.
No, but that's what I'm picking up, man.
Well, so we were living in Lubbock. Me and this girlfriend were living in Lubbock, and she was like, I want to, we need to get out of Lubbock because, for this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, I kind of would like to live in San Antonio or Houston or maybe Dallas. And she's like, I really want to move to Austin. And I was like, I don't. I'd also lived in New York for 3 years, so I'd kind of
Austin's
done the
a little
music.
sleepy.
I'd
Yeah.
done I had kind of done the move to the music town thing, the music city kind of thing, and I was kind of out of my system. That was out of my system, you know what I mean? And I felt like, in retrospect, I'm very happy that I moved here, but at the time I was like, I kind of want to move somewhere where I can, have affordable living and I can, make a living playing gigs and not have to struggle because I've already done the artist struggle
New
thing.
York
and,
is like, that's impossible.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was that's a whole other story. So we ended up moving here, and we had a good situation because a friend of mine was leaving his house right by campus, and so we took it over and we Airbnb'd it for a while, and we were actually paying rent by renting it out and stuff like that. So it was wonderful until, as you might remember, the city started cracking down on all Airbnb and they canceled. Yeah. They got Uber out, and so we had to.
So like 10 years ago.
This was 2016.
Yeah.
So it was like April 2016 is when they started cracking down on all the short-term rentals and stuff like that.
I always felt like the city wasn't making enough off of drunk drivers anymore once Uber came here.
Oh, yeah.
So they just got rid of them all.
That's probably true. I hadn't thought about that. I know it was the hotel tax for the Airbnb thing.
Right.
Anyways, that was a long way of me saying that it wasn't necessarily for music other than, we kind of found a great opportunity to come down here and not pay rent, basically. And, but she really wanted to come. And I'm glad I did because I love this part of Texas. This is a part of Texas that I never really, I guess, previously hadn't known. It's much different from where I grew up. It's much different from West Texas, completely different. But the hill country is beautiful. Like down here,
gorgeous,
all the green belts. I didn't know what a green belt was until I moved down here. all the water and all the hills and it's just beautiful. And I love the history down here. Like this is where you get all the old, the first settlers down here into Texas, and the buildings with plaques on them, and that's you don't get that up in West Texas a lot. There's not a lot of that up there.
No, it seems like West Texas was like one of those places where people moved to get rich. Like it was settled there to like the oil stuff is like and ranchers and the whole I always think of that movie Giant when I think of any.
I haven't seen that.
You never seen it? That's really good.
Somebody was telling me I need to see that.
It's one of the James Dean movies. Like he only did 3.
Okay.
That one has Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor.
Okay.
It's fucking great.
I need to see that.
My old Hollywood. Get on your AMC and watch this right now. Giant. There's also this amazing documentary it was like on Amazon Prime for a while, and it was a PBS documentary that was the children of Giant, because there were all these kids that were extras on it, and they just kind of tell the story of like what happened to Marfa when Giant went there and started filming. Oh. Do you ever go there to Marfa?
I've driven through it down. I've played in Terlingua at the Starlight Theater.
Oh, yeah?
A couple of times, but I've never been to Marfa. I've only been to Terlingua a couple of times.
Yeah.
But I want to go to Marfa. I've seen it and I know about it, and I know it's really beautiful. If it's anything like Terlingua, it's definitely its own thing too, because that's feels like you're on the moon, and Terlingua is like another planet. Yeah, it's really cool down there.
You got a gig November 5th at the Ridgely Theater Lounge in Fort Worth. That's with your band?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Is that like that? And there's like a bar part of the Ridgely Theater?
Yeah, there's
like
there's the main theater, and then there's a couple of smaller rooms.
Okay, cool. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm really happy that worked out, and so we're I don't really play in the Fort Worth, Dallas area too much, so I'm kind of and I have a lot of friends up there and a lot of people that I know through music up there and that like my music, thankfully, so and family, and so I'm just that'll hopefully be a really great time for everyone to kind of come together into one spot and listen to the band instead of trying to get a gig at a, somewhere that's not really a music environment.
Right.
But I'm very excited about that gig. Mm-hmm.
Where else do you play in town, like with the band?
We play at the Saxon Pub.
Oh, nice.
Every here and there, every once in a while. Most recently we played over at the we played the festival, the Old Settlers Music Festival in April, and then sometimes down at the Armadillo Den.
Oh yeah, that place is cool
down there.
It's like a biker place.
Yeah, yeah. It's that outdoor. It's like outdoor stage area. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool place. A lot of people have been. Oh, and also at the Russet Tap.
Oh yeah,
play there on 6th Street sometimes.
I've played there.
Yeah, it's a cool. It's a cool stage too.
Yeah. It was freezing cold when I played there. That's what I remember.
Oh yeah, I've done that, man. I've played there during the freezing cold. Yeah, it's. But yeah, those are pretty much the main places. And then all the band members play in all kinds of different areas and different bands as well.
Is that a tough thing to do? Because I know as we get older, right, and people have their families, their jobs, their lives that like you don't really care about when you're in your late teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
You don't.
Right.
Like you don't even need a bed or anything. You know what I mean? Just as long as you're playing in a band, you're happy. But then you get older, you have other needs and stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to sort of like get people because they got to do stuff that like, do you, is it like I mean, you're a solo artist, the same as me. Like right now, like when I go play a gig, it costs me a few $100 just before I even go do it.
Yeah.
Just in dudes and women. I play with women.
Oh,
I don't date them.
That's good.
Yeah, it's real good. So is it tough to sort of like how long have you had this? Is this the band that played on the record? This is the band you've had the same 3 other people?
Yeah, so the bass player and violinist.
That's a tough thing to keep on board.
Well, the violinist, Megan, and Jeremy, the bass player, have been with me for a couple of years now. And then I've started using a couple of new drummers. One, the drummer that was playing on the video, her name's Carrie Sheehan.
Okay.
And she's from North Carolina. She's pretty new to Austin, and she plays with a bunch of one of her main gigs is playing. She plays in a lot of country bands, so she does a lot of country. There's a lot of shuffles and a lot of drumming in that scene. A
lot of training.
But she if I give her enough notice, she loves playing in our band. And so we love having her. So she's I'm thankful to have her, and she's a very solid person. And then another friend of mine, he's from England. His name's Graham O'Shea, and he's a fantastic drummer as well. He has several bands that he plays in. So I have a couple of drummers, but mainly stick with the band, and I just try to give them enough notice, and make sure that I'm getting enough money from a gig to make it worth their while. When I have to do that, I can't. Yeah. Or if I'm in a situation where it's a quote unquote like cool situation for me, then not, it's something that I try to make sure that I'll pay them no matter what. So that's part of it, and I supplement that a lot with solo gigs and. Do kind of, you have to do.
Just work your ass off.
It's going to work hard and figure out which battles you want to choose.
Right.
Which ones are you're going to kind of maybe not make money on personally, but,
Right.
So that's how that works.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a tough racket when you're a solo artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. It always has been like ever since I became a solo artist, it did not feel as good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in some ways it does.
Yeah.
Like in your band, like when you guys went and made the record, do people decide on their own parts? Like, do you come in with like or do you have a pretty good idea of what you want from everyone?
Some of them, like some of the violin parts I've actually written out.
Oh, really?
And then some of them are just improvised,
Right.
And then the bass, but most of the parts are their own. I give direction of like what I want, or I demo a lot of it too, myself.
Yeah.
And then let them listen to the
So
parts.
this song, Devil in My Heart, there's a video for it. People can check it out. I'm sure you can get to it from AnthonyGarciaMusic.com. But
That's
it
right.
also, that song and No Cienes, what's the guitar whistling song?
It's a sati.
That's you whistling?
Yeah.
You're a fucking killer whistler, dude.
Thanks, man. So I don't know if anybody, I'm sure a lot of people know Eric Satie, but Eric Satie was a composer. He was this really eccentric composer at the turn of the century in Paris, and he wrote a lot of these very minimalistic piano pieces you'll hear them in like commercials or different popular settings.
Okay.
But he did some real mysterious, a set of dark, mysterious songs called, and that's a word that he made up, and I think it's French or something, but he had his own he had his own like cult and religion that he believed in, his own language, and he's just kind of eccentric dude.
That's cool.
But one of the words was like Gnocien, and that came from like the Gnosticism of Greek, Greek Gnosticism.
Yeah.
That was his. There's a whole history behind it. That was his tribute to that line of thought. Anyways, one of those. I have my dream. What I'm going to do is put out a whistling album of like I guess like classical pieces. But that particular piece is Eric Satie, one of his Gnociens.
It's gorgeous.
It's number 2, and it's just for guitar and whistling. And
yeah.
I'm kind of trying to make it sound like I guess something like a Clint Eastwood, like Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what I get from
spaghetti
it.
western kind of thing.
Where it's almost like it almost is like you could play a theremin instead of the whistle.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you also whistle on the record. I can't remember what song it is.
Yeah, there's a song called Jane.
Yeah,
on there,
song.
and I whistled on there as well. I've always been kind of fascinated with doing a whistle choir for a while. Like since I was in college, I was like wanting to write a piece just for people that can, like a whistle quartet or something, you know.
That would be insane.
It'd be kind of interesting sounds, you know.
Well, the single whistle, it does have that like that what's Ennio Morricone?
Yeah,
who did
exactly.
That?
Yeah.
Has that vibe to it. Yeah, I love that. But your music also has that vibe, which when you close your eyes, you see the expanse of the land, just like Morricone. Sorry, we just got right back to the beginning of our conversation.
Yeah.
Full circle. Yeah, man, you're fucking great. I'm glad that Violet hooked us up.
Well, I'm glad
she's a good publicist.
I'm glad you invited me to be on, man. I've been listening to your podcast for
really
ever since I first got to Austin.
Oh, thanks, man.
I listened to it often, and that was great when she emailed me to put us in contact. I was like, no way. This is a
awesome,
really
man.
great.
Thank you so much, man.
Great, just a really great honor, and you know, very thankful.
Yeah,
that you had me on.
Well, I'm thankful you came all the way out here. That's a long drive, dude.
Yeah. It's not that long.
when you were like, it's gonna take me an hour to get there, part of me was like, oh, yeah, hey man, we can Zoom it. But then I was like, no, I don't.
No, it's better in person.
I had to Zoom one today that I didn't. I think he had to Zoom. Oh yeah, because he was exposed. So it didn't feel good. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talking over each other and like what that stuff.
Oh yeah.
All right, so people can check it out. Acres of Diamonds is the record that you released. Also, they can go to your Bandcamp and get Devil in My Heart and I don't know,
Gnociens.
Yeah. Gnociens?
Yeah, I think that's how you say it.
Okay, neither one of us knows, so that's good.
I'm in the process of making a studio version of this song "Devil in My Heart," and I'm hoping to have it released by October.
Oh wait,
and
that version that's on Bandcamp is the one that you recorded live from the thing?
Yeah, it's the live version on our video. So we did a live video in my house, and that's just the wave file.
And it's pay what you want, right?
Yeah, it's just on there.
That's cool that you did that.
Yeah. So that's what we're kind of. That's the next little thing that's happening. That'll probably be sometime in mid-October.
Yeah,
that'll be done. So we're going to make a proper recording of it. You know, release it that way.
Cool. Anthony Garcia, baby. Find him at anthonygarciamusic.com. You feel good about this?
Yeah, man.
If you live in Fort Worth, you can see him Saturday, November 5th at the Ridgely Theater Lounge in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
I love Fort Worth.
Yeah,
that's cool. Where Rosie's from. They found Rosie on the streets of Fort Worth.
Can't Bowie?
No, she was just running the streets.
Oh, okay.
And they tried to take her to a shelter, but they were like, all full, we'll kill her.
Oh, wow.
And so, somehow I ended up with her. Dude, thank you so much for taking all the way down here. Is there anything I'm missing? Anything you'd want to say? I want to thank Violet.
Yeah,
because that was really nice of her to set us up. I really that was a pleasant surprise. Sometimes when people are like, "Oh, my friend," you're like, "Oh God, what the fuck is this going to be?" But exactly. she's like, she doesn't seem to like. She's the one thing about her, I will say for sure. There's no bullshit.
Yeah, that's for sure. And she's an incredibly talented,
very talented
musician. You know, she studied music as well at Texas Tech, and she's a great. She has a great alto voice, a great operatic style
voice.
Operatic style alto voice.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you ever heard her sing.
No, I never have.
Operatic style is. She has a great knowledge of. She's one of those people who, you know, when we would be driving around. You know the system, solfege, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, da. So there'd be a song that would come on the radio. And she would just start singing it in solfege. La, la, ti, la, sol, la, ti. How do you do that?
So funny.
It was crazy. But also a fantastic lyricist and songwriter.
Oh,
super talented.
Yeah. Dude, that last record, it's right behind you.
Yeah.
It's on the thing.
Yeah, I was listening to this. I was listening to this the other night.
Yeah. Did you see the show, the release?
I did not.
I went to it.
I did not, but I know that I knew that it was happening on the 30th.
It's funny. She wrote me and she found out I got COVID.
Oh,
And because I mean, I did reach out to some people from that show, and I was like, "Hey, man, I was talking like 6 inches from your face for like 5 minutes, and I'm sick." That's a weird text to have to send to
Yeah.
people.
by the way.
Yeah, must be like venereal disease or something. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming, Anthony Garcia, dude. AnthonyGarciaMusic.com. It's where you get all your stuff.
Thank you.
Great talking to you.
Good job.
That was Anthony Garcia. Check out his record, Acres of Diamonds. AnthonyGarciaMusic.com. Great talking to that dude. I want to thank him for taking the time to come over. Anthony Garcia, go find him at AnthonyGarciaMusic.com. I want to thank Violet Lee from Madam Radar for setting that up. Great conversation there. Hey, great conversation there, girl. Gang, don't forget you can follow us and like us and subscribe wherever it is you listen to podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, anywhere. New shows every Tuesday and every Friday. I believe next week is a 2-show a week, but we are dropping 3 shows a week here every couple of weeks because we've had a lot of podcasts and a lot of great ones too coming up. Whoa, got a lot of great ones. Don't want to give them away. All right, gang, have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. And go check out AnthonyGarciaMusic.com. And thanks again, Violet Lee, for setting this up. Let's get down.
Black light and white light is dancing on the sea. When the waves, just like a mirror on me, they're coming after me. Lightning flashes born and die in the starry sky above. It's just like sugar on your tongue, loyalty and love. Apparitions on the shoreline, they say my name and take my hand. They lead me to the place below the sea and the golden sand. Heard in every face I've ever seen, hanging from the limbs of what they call the mirror tree. Branches made of diamonds and the trunk is made of coal. The leaves are made of broken glass and the stories that they told. At the bottom of the ocean, in a garden made of tears, it burns just like a constellation that's been dead 1,000 years. black light and white light is dancing on the sea. The waves, just like a mirror on me, are coming after me. Lightning flashes born and die in the starry sky above. Yeah, it's just like sugar on your tongue and loyalty and love. Apparitions on the shoreline, they say my